everybody. Welcome to Hidden Gems Podcast. In this show where we like to look at a streaming service and see what hidden gems are on that service for you to check out. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Ryan is here.
Hey, Rachel, it's great to be back with you once again. I hope that you're doing well.
Yeah, doing well. Had a fun night last night. Got to hang out with our friend Stanford and my friend Jen, and we watched the first Pirates movie together and had dinner, and it was real nice. So I'm feeding off good energy today.
Did you watch that at someone's home or?
Yeah, at Stanford's house. So that was fun.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
first Pirates movie, I did a whole series last year where on my channel, I just felt the need to rewatch all of those movies because I hadn't seen them in forever. It's like
Yeah.
that first, like the Gore Verbinski Pirates movies, at least. I get why some people wouldn't like them because they're really long, especially three.
Yeah.
But I actually think they're all really good, especially that
Mhm.
first one. It's like in that category of it shouldn't have been as good as it was, and yet it was.
Yeah, I did really enjoy the first one. I have mixed feelings about the others, but yeah, that first one, it was a lot of fun to get to watch it together. So it's always fun to have a movie night with your friends.
Yeah, that's the
So
best.
yeah. So I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing good. I've made myself a couple of long-term goals. I mentioned the goal of doing an Ironman one day, but another goal I'm setting off like way into the far, far future. This is like years of like working on it and training for it. One day I want to do an ultra marathon, which is 100
Oh,
miles.
oh my gosh. Wow.
I found one in Florida that's from Jacksonville Beach to Ponce Inlet, which is about 100 miles. It's basically running along the east coast of Florida where the Atlantic is. And,
Wow.
and again, this is not something I'm
Yeah,
doing tomorrow or a month from
sure.
now. This is like years down the road. But I think
Do
I
you
can
do it
do
in one, like without stopping?
it
One,
without stopping. Yeah.
wow.
On the
That's
website
impressive.
I found it on, you have about 30 hours to complete.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how long it would take me to do
Wow.
something like that, but
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, why don't you tell everybody what we are talking about today for Hidden Gems?
well, we are talking about Netflix. They've been in the news recently with the new Chris Rock live special. I still
Yes.
haven't seen it, but it did go viral for one particular joke involving one of the stars of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which shall go unnamed, but I'm sure you all know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't watched it yet either, but yeah, I mean, you could tell with didn't they call it wasn't it outrage or something like selective outrage or something like that?
Selective outrage, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
So you knew
Chris,
that they were going to be poking the bear.
well, Chris Rock is someone like Will Smith. Will Smith slapped the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Is I mean, Chris Rock is first and foremost a stand-up comic. Their job is literally to take controversy and just paint their entire canvas with it. It's not a color in their paint kit. It's their entire canvas.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting to see. I like I said, I haven't watched it, but yeah, it's a crazy, bizarre story. I mean, at least we had the Oscars this last a couple of weeks that there was no insanity, like nothing too crazy. Like the
Well,
most crazy thing was that everything everywhere all once won like practically everything it was nominated.
and thank God for it, because I mean that movie deserves all the praise it gets. But
Yeah,
but on
I
other
enjoyed it. I didn't I guess I recommended it. I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite of the nominees, but I'm happy for it that it won. So
Oh yeah, no doubt. And on other sides of things, in good news for me, Netflix is going to be soon getting the final season of Better Call Saul, which looks like it's going to be the last of anything in the Better Call Saul Breaking Bad universe for the foreseeable future. That whole season, it was just like it was one of those where I'd never watched the final season of Breaking Bad, but I'm glad I watched the final season of Better Call Saul. Like I literally went out of my way. Mondays at 10, I was there and I watched
mhm,
it all and it was wonderful. So
mhm.
glad Netflix is going to be getting it.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, they've got a lot of stuff coming up with Netflix. And I mean, they actually had a great Oscars as well because they had Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio and they had all of the All Quiet on the Western Front winning a lot.
You
So,
got to
yeah,
expect that Netflix is going to be given more stuff for Guillermo del Toro to do. They
yeah,
like
let's hope.
they got to be backing up the armored truck. Like, come on, bring it
Hmm.
in, bring it in.
Yep. Yeah, animation is cinema. Yes.
And Guillermo
And
del Toro is the biggest champion of it, and we
yeah,
could not be happier for it.
yeah. And like I said, All Quiet on the Western Front won a lot too. So they got to be happy about that. But uh but yeah, so we're talking about Netflix. This is our 14th episode of Netflix for Hidden Gems. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy how far we've come.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us your first pick?
So my first choice is an animated movie. Speaking of, this is from DreamWorks and in their partnership with Aardman, and it is called Flushed Away. And DreamWorks, like they've had very few duds, and like the duds have been like incredibly like infamous duds, like Your Boss Babies and In That Neighborhood. But Fle
Yeah.
but they also have a lot of ones where you're like, oh, I forgot that they made that. And I think Flushed Away definitely belongs in that conversation. I don't know. Maybe I saw it at the right age. Maybe it was because it was in the ballpark of it being close enough to Wallace and Gromit to where I really started falling in love with Aardman. But I just always had a soft spot for this one. I like the relationship that fosters between the two main rats and how the one really privileged rat gets flushed away and he has to fend for himself. I like I like when he gets kicked off of Rita's boat. He comes up with that song, the Ice Cold Rita song, and it's a lot of fun. I like I like the Toad as the villain and his French, I believe it's brother or cousin. I want to say it's cousin, but but the friend and I love the mime Toad, the where the villain confrontation happens. It happens with like a flip phone. That's how you can tell the movie's from the 2000s from that flip phone. So Flushed Away, I think, is severely underrated.
You know, my nieces and my sister really, really love this one. I've never something about the humor and the fact maybe I just it was a little bit disappointing because it was the first one they did that wasn't stop motion. I don't know, so maybe it loses a little bit of charm for that. I don't dislike it. It's still pretty good, but it is probably on the lower end of my Aardman ranking, I think. I probably would put Early Man and then Flushed Away would probably be my ranking for Aardman. But I like the voice cast. I like the characters. I think it has some fun things about it with the story, like you were saying. So I enjoy it. It's just it's just one of my lower end of stars Aardman, I would say.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Early Man is one I believe I've recommended before here, and that's another one that I think was given a raw deal and severely underrated. I mean, it premiered the same week as Black Panther. I mean,
Mm.
that's a death sentence. Like, I don't care who you are.
Well, I think the thing with Early Man, and I interviewed Nick Park for the movie, so I was pretty hyped for it back in the day. But the thing about it is there are a lot of like soccer jokes. Like if you're not up on soccer and British, like it's very British humor and a lot of British soccer humor. And so I think some of the humor was kind of lost on me, but the animation was so great. I didn't dislike it. It just is my least favorite of the Aardman movies. But yeah, I mean, they're just such a solid studio. They don't have anything that's not like worth watching and enjoyable.
That's definitely true. And to your point about the British humor, just for a local example for me, my dad does not like soccer. Like every time they do a soccer ad on like CBS when like he's watching golf or something, he's like, "Oh, who's
Hmm.
watching this crap?" You know, he's like one of those guys. But he loves all of Aardman's stuff,
Yeah.
especially Early Man. I
Oh yeah.
cannot put my finger on why, but that's just
Well,
that's
good. That's
just
good.
is what it is.
Well, my first pick is a movie called Age of Adeline. and this came out in 2015. It stars Blake Lively, and she is so beautiful in this movie. And she's this woman who has this accident, which uh, makes her like immortal. She can't ever age. And so she goes through all these different time periods. And of course, anybody that she meets, she knows that she's going to outlive them. And she ends up meeting Michael Husman, who's so handsome, and she had dated I forget the guy's name, but it was a young Harrison Ford, and he does a great Harrison Ford imitation, and she dated him, and then she finds out that this Michael Husman is Harrison Ford's son, and so when he sees her, he can't believe it because she looks exactly the same. And I don't know, I just think this is a beautifully made movie, well acted. I think Blake Lively is really good. Um, yeah, I think it's a solid little movie drama.
I actually haven't seen it, but I've seen the poster a ton of times, and Blake Lively is gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
she's gorgeous in that. As of this recording, I just watched The Town for the first time, the Ben Affleck movie, and Blake Lively is in that, and she plays basically a druggy mom who's trying to hook up with Ben Affleck's character, but he's not having it. And like so to see her in like that and to see her in something like The Age of Adeline, that's some range right there.
Yeah, and I think the guy is Anthony Ingruber is the guy that does the impression. He really does sound exactly like Harrison Ford, so it really works quite well. So yeah, I think it's just like a solid base hit. Yeah, like it's not like a movie that's going to win Oscars or whatever, but it's just a solid, entertaining little drama. So, what is your next pick?
So my next pick is, well, IMDb has it in 2019, but I saw it in 2020, is The Gentleman. This is from Guy Ritchie, stars pretty much a lot of his favorite people. This is Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, Michelle Dockery, Jeremy Strong, Colin Farrell, who just got nominated for an Oscar recently for Banshees of Inisherin. Basically, it's very much a Guy Ritchie movie. It follows criminals who talk like who have amazing dialogue with each other. They curse a lot and they shoot things. That's a movie that is just that's that's my style right there. So I connected with this movie probably more than others, but I mean, because of obvious reasons revolving the vid, the movie definitely got swept under the rug. But the charisma that this movie has is just it radiates off the screen. I don't think it's a coincidence that this is the first movie that Guy Ritchie made after Aladdin and the King Arthur movie, because the 2010s were not a great decade for Guy Ritchie. He did the Sherlock Holmes movies, which I really liked, but then he did King Arthur, which I liked, but no one else did apparently. And then the
Yeah, it was
Aladdin
rough.
movie, which outside of Will Smith was just like, why'd we even bother with this?
Hmm.
Wasn't his fault though.
Yeah.
So it feels like it was like, finally back to the stuff that I like to make. So
Hmm.
it's a very entertaining movie. It's very R-rated, a lot of foul language, a lot of violence. But if you can get past that, I give it a recommendation.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but it certainly has a great cast. So you gotta enjoy that. Henry Golding, love him. Jeremy Strong, Colin Farrell, Hugh Grant. Yeah, great cast. So cool. All right. Well, my next pick is called Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts about this, we did it for Obscure Animation a while back, me and Stanford. But this is a beautiful movie from DreamWorks, 2D animation about a horse and his life and various owners over the try to gentle the horse, trying to tame the horse, and he will not be tamed. Spirit, because he's got so much spirit. I think that this movie is beautiful. The animation is great. And I think that, it tells a beautiful story. It has some really great sequences. The Bryan Adams music doesn't really fit that well. So that would be the downside. Like they're not bad songs, but they just don't fit, I don't think, with like the feel of the movie. But I still think it's a beautiful film and definitely one worth watching.
Yeah, Jacob and I covered it on his Discussing DreamWorks podcast a couple of months ago. This was at the tail end of DreamWorks' 2D phase. It was like this and Sinbad and the Seven Seas, and then DreamWorks did nothing but 3D animation going forward. So it was at the tail
Yeah.
end of that. And
Yeah.
this is obviously a beautiful movie. My one hiccup is the Bryan Adams score, which I thought was very literal, almost too literal.
Yeah.
I made several jokes about it on that podcast, and Jacob and I had a good time about it. He liked it. I was not a big fan of it, but
No,
that
I
was
agree.
my
That's like I said, that I think that it doesn't really fit with the feel, like the feel of the movie. They should have something that's more like tribal, more I don't know, just not Bryan Adams in 2002. It just doesn't fit with the I don't think with the movie.
Yeah, because when you think of late 1800s and the plains and the Old West, you think of Bryan Adams.
Yeah. So, but I think other than that, I do think it's worth watching. So what do you have next?
So my next choice is from 2012, and it is a movie called Philomena. This stars Steve Coogan and Dame Judi Dench. I believe this was directed by Richard Curtis. It's actually in
Stephen
2013.
Frears.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I was
they're
sort
close.
of close, but this is based on a true story. Coogan plays a journalist who is looking for his next big story, and he comes across a woman named Philomena, who, when she was, I believe, 18 or 19, I haven't seen the movie in a while, so I believe it's in the ballpark there, but when she was 18 or 19, she had a child out of wedlock, and the child was taken away from her, and she has been like on constantly looking for the child and enlists this journalist to help her out. And really what makes the movie work is the chemistry between Steve Coogan and Dame Judi Dench. They're both just great together. I love Philomena so much. I mean, it's Judi Dench, so of course she's going to be great, but just her character itself is, I really liked her. Steve Coogan is funny in bursts but is a lot more serious here, and I like weird true stories like this. So this really falls, it plays more into my taste. So this is
Hmm.
one I would happily recommend because it's very much like a, I can't really describe it. It's hard to describe what I would compare it to. But like I said, I like weird true stories like this.
Yeah, I remember seeing it back in 2012, 2013. And I forgot that this got nominated for Best Picture. I forgotten that this one was on there. It got nominated for Best Actress and Score and Adapted Screenplay. And yeah, it's a really sweet, lovely little movie. And usually those kind of like smaller dramas get ignored by the Academy, so it's kind of interesting that it got picked up. But yeah, I remember really, and it's a story of unlikely friendships, which is always going to be a winner for me. I really enjoy those between this pair.
Yeah, and I believe Robin Williams is also in this. Let me check because I distinctly
Mm,
remember.
no, I don't think he was alive then.
No, no, yeah, you're right. I don't know where I pulled that name from. I thought for some reason he was like his boss or something, but I think I might have been talking about Crazy About You, which was Ron Williams' last TV appearance. It was a show on
Mm,
CBS that he was working
mm.
on.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, I think it's a really high quality film and you can watch it on Netflix, so that's good. Yeah. And Dame Judy Dench. I mean, she needs the hits lately because she had some she had some rough ones for a while there. She was in Artemis Fowl. She was in Cats. She had a rough stretch. So, um, all right. Well, my next pick is an interesting film from last year called LYLE the Crocodile, and this is based on a children's book. It has music from Pasek and Paul, who did La La Land. It's a really fun music. And you have this crocodile who is hiding in this townhouse in New York, and he can't talk except for when he sings. And this one also has Winslow Fegley, who I think is just a great young actor. He's in Timmy Failure, Mistakes Were Made, which I absolutely love that movie. He was also in 8-Bit Christmas. He's charming. Javier Bardem is great. It has Constance Wu. It's just a cute little family film about this family coming to accept Lyle the crocodile, the singing crocodile. So, did you see this last year?
I did not, to be completely honest. When I saw this trailer, I kind of rolled my eyes. I was kind of like, beneath, like, Javier Bardem, you won an Oscar. Like, what are you doing here?
Mm-hmm.
But if you liked it and you have really good taste, I think I might take you up on that.
Yeah, I think it overall had pretty good reviews. I don't think it's. I mean, I'm a sucker for musicals.
That that is very
But
true. That's the only reason why you're rooting for Joker 2.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Um, well, it's at 72%, so it's I guess not like it's not certified fresh, but it is majority critics liked it. I liked it. It was cute. I think you could take family and I'll have a good time. It has a nice message, good songs, and so yeah, I'd say go see it. Go see La La the Crocodile. What is your next pick?
So my next choice, here's the hard left for the podcast this week. This is and this is definitely the definition of a guilty pleasure for me, but it's a sports movie, it's a sports comedy, and I don't know, I was at the right age when I saw it. It's The Longest Yard, the remake of it. The Burt Reynolds
Mm-hmm.
one is really good too, but I like the Adam Sandler one, and I know, if you're like Ryan, you really like that. Trust me when I say it's actually one of Sandler's better movies. And also shout out to him. He's being awarded the Mark Twain Prize very soon. So that's very good on him. But but yeah, Longest Yard, it's the same story as the original. Football player gets into legal trouble, has to go to prison to spend some time there. The warden tries to get him to play for the prison football team. He refuses, but then is pressured into it anyway, and basically molds the team to they become the mean machine to take on the guards. It's the same story as before, but I like this one. It hits me right in the feels because a lot of wrestlers are in there. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin is in here as a rep as one of the guards. Kevin Nash is in here, and he has a really funny bit where they sneak hormones into one of his drinks, and he spends the rest of the movie being like, "My nipples are so sensitive." Like very much like that. It's funnier when he does it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, James Cromwell plays the warden. Like, that'll do, pig. That'll do. Like, and he's pretty menacing there. Uh, Adam Sandler's in there. Chris Rock is in there. It's a lot of very funny people. Burt Reynolds plays the coach, so it's a nice full circle moment. I remember watching this for the first time in college, and it was for a psychology class of how people
Oh, really?
in a confined space find a common ground and come together. And the professor was like, "It's not the most conventional thing to view this example, but trust me, you will understand why." And I'm like, "Okay, I like you." So,
Yeah.
but so again, guilty pleasure. It's not the best, but I get a kick out of it.
I've never seen it. I have to say this one of Sandler's I've never seen. But it was kind of funny. We had for the Criterion Project, we were talking about a movie called The Grand Illusion, and I'd invited my friend Eric on, and he is very, very conservative. And we had my co-host, Conrado, who's like a socialist liberal, like on so two complete extremes. And it was kind of funny because there was like a little bit of anxiousness about maybe about it and everything. And even though it's not a political podcast, there's just a little bit of anxiousness. And they had just Eric had just done a defense of Adam Sandler on his podcast, and I knew that Conrado was a big fan of Adam Sandler. And so I was like, listen to this, listen to the defense. And then the two of them were like butting it up over Adam Sandler. They were like best friends over Adam Sandler on the podcast, which was so funny. And I said, who knew that Adam Sandler was the key to uniting left and right?
This is Eric McDonough, the conservative film buff
Yes.
on Twitter, right? Yeah, yeah. I
Yes.
like I like his account.
Yeah, he's great. He has a great podcast called The Movie Shelf, and anyway, yeah, he just did a defense of Adam Sandler, but I just thought that was really funny that like they were chatting it up for probably 5 minutes all about Adam
well,
Sandler.
there's
So
this old like I don't know where the old saying is, but it's like comedy is the great uniter or
yeah,
something. Because like you get like a good comedy show, it's like the perfect like left or right, it doesn't matter. If something's funny, then like it's
yeah,
like super funny.
yeah. So that was just a really funny experience. And this one I don't think is a Happy Madison one, right? Do you know?
I am not sure.
I think it was like
Let me look
2005
let me look it up really quick because
because I feel like
I cannot stress it enough. This is one of Sandler's better movies. I know for
yeah.
some it's a little trepidatious, but this is
I
one
don't,
of his better ones.
let's see here.
Paramount, Columbia, MTV Films, Happy Madison. Yes, it
No,
is.
okay. Because I tend to think the ones that he does for other studios, like your Spanglish and your Punch Drunk Love and stuff like that, are like the best that he does. But sounds like this is at least one of the better ones for Happy Madison.
Yeah, because it doesn't try and reinvent anything. It mostly stays true to what was in the original, but it updates it obviously for modern sensibilities and modern football tastes.
Hmm. Cool. Good. All right. Well, my next one is another musical because I love
Shock,
musicals
shocker.
from last year. It's Matilda the musical on that's on Netflix. It stars Emma Thompson, and it's from the Broadway adaptation of the book that came out in like 2015, 16, something like that. And it's a really fun musical. They took out quite a bit from the stage musical in this movie musical, including a lot with the parents, and they got rid of her brother and some of the other things. But I still overall really enjoy the songs, and Emma Thompson's a lot of fun as Trunchbull.
Yeah, this is when I saw the trailer for, and just so much was coming out around that time. It definitely fell under the radar, but I was always intrigued to see it.
Yeah, and I also really enjoyed Lashana Lynch as Miss Honey. There are some flaws with the stage show that I don't think were fixed in this. There's this whole subplot of the scapologist and the acrobat that I think just takes too long and just takes too much out of the show. And I was kind of hoping they would take that out for the movie adaptation. And instead, they decided to take out both of the parents' songs. I don't know why. So that was disappointing. But overall, I still really enjoyed it. So worth a watch for sure. Just for Emma Thompson alone as Trunchbull is pretty funny and so catchy tunes. My mother says I'm a miracle. But what's your next pick?
So my next choice and my final choice is a movie that came out last year, and this is one that feels like it already just went like came and went. But for some reason, and maybe it was just because this is a genre that I like, but I was like, that was fun for what it was, and it's The Gray Man. It's directed
Mm-hmm.
by the Russo brothers. They only directed certain Avengers movies. I'm sure you all know which ones. And it's based on the book series, and it tells the story of the Gray Man, played by Ryan Gosling. He's basically a ghost agent that the CIA hires. They basically have him as a number instead of a name. But then when a mission goes south, they basically disavow the whole program and they send in Chris Evans to take him out. And the movie was fun. I actually took my dad to see it. It came to my luxury theater about 20 minutes away in Daytona Beach. So I actually got to see it in theaters, which was fun. And like I said, the movie is just American spy fun. It really is. And Gosling's good. Chris Evans is good. Billy Bob Thornton plays Ryan Gosling's boss and or former boss, and he's really good. It's just a fun movie. It's with some fun sequences.
Yeah, I missed this one. It just didn't look like something that I would enjoy, so I just never caught up with it. And yeah, I've heard mixed reviews on it, but it sounds like the action was at least entertaining.
Yeah, that's really all I needed it to be. Did it
Mm-hmm.
entertain me? The answer was yes. Same thing with Red Notice. Like people were crapping on Red Notice, the Rock and Ryan Reynolds movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I
Never
just
saw that one either.
I thought it was fun. It was
Mm-hmm.
like with spy stuff, it's really easy to win me over. Even the subpar stuff, I'm like, all right, I can kind of dig that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Good. Well, my last recommendation is called The Woman King. This was also from last year, directed by Gina Prince Bythewood. And this tells the true story. Some people quibble with that, but that's like any based on true story. Uh, but about this all female unit of warriors for the African kingdom of Dahomey in the 1800s. And I think this movie is worth watching just again, just for the action alone. The action sequences are bloody, they're tough to watch, but they're very well done. And I think all the acting is excellent. Viola Davis, she like transforms in this movie into this, warrior king. And Lashana Lynch is great in it again, totally different than in than in Matilda. You have newcomer what's her name? Sheila Autumn, I think is her name. The new teenager girl. She's great. It's but it's an interesting story. It's a part of the world I don't know anything about. But particularly I thought the action was excellently staged and done. Did you get to see this one?
I did not. It was just a time thing. Like
Mm,
literally, I just it was that was a weird weekend when it came out. But yeah, I there was uproar as I kind of thought there would be for a movie like this. And again, this is kind of like based on true story stuff that definitely does appeal to me. I mean, I'll give John Boyega any chance that I can get because that dude got a raw deal in Star Wars, and we won't go down that road. We could do a whole show about that if we wanted to. But
mm-hmm,
I'm a fan of his. I mean, Viola Davis, come on now, she's awesome.
mm-hmm,
So I feel bad that I didn't see it in theaters, but now that it is on Netflix, I will go out of my way to see it.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was surprised that Viola didn't get recognized at the Oscars. I mean, from what I've heard about uh Blonde, that that's not very good. That it seems like a shame that she couldn't have gotten that spot. But well, I guess that's just the way the way it worked. But I did think it was a very well made movie and a very like entertaining movie. Um and good characters, good story, interesting, well staged action. Like I said, very bloody. It's not for the faint of heart, but I enjoyed it. So there we go. We did it. We talked about Netflix. And of course, there's always a lot of series and other fun stuff coming to Netflix. So everybody will have to let us know what you've been watching on Netflix in the comments or on Twitter. We'd love to hear. And Ryan, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and my YouTube channel at RyanCam20. There's, of course, my YouTube channel just called Ryan Cam. By the time this video drops, I would have done a John Wick 4 spoiler talk with Cody from the Brock Ops side. It's always fun to collab with him. This week on Life in the Movies podcast, Jacob Martin and I are going to be previewing all the movies for April. I love doing the preview episodes, seeing what all's coming out in the month, and April looks like it's got some pretty decent movies coming out, just based off the calendar that Jacob is so kind to always create. And then this weekend is coming out is Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, which I'm strangely kind of hoping is good, because I had no idea. There were periods where I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing, but I've actually heard good reviews for it, so I'm actually kind of shocked to say I'm hoping it's good. And then the Tetris
Yeah.
movie's coming out, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. So reviews for both of those, and then the podcast, and then the spoiler talk. So if you have not checked me out, please do.
Yeah, y'all should definitely. I've seen both of those that you mentioned, and I enjoyed them both. So I don't have my reviews yet. I'm behind, but hopefully by the time this airs, I will. But yeah, I am finishing up sort of my animation grab bag in this month, and then April for Family Movie Night, we're doing classic musicals. So that's going to be super fun for me. And we are recapping Schmigadoon season 2, Chicago. So I'm gonna love that. And I really loved our recap of season 1. I thought it was really funny. And we are, of course, very busy over at Hallmarkies Podcast. We have the series finale of The Way Home, which has been an absolute excellent show. And then we have the start of a new show called Ride, and all our other stuff going on at Hallmarkies Podcast. So make sure you check that out. We have all of our Hidden Gems episodes in the playlist. We'll put in the description. So take a look at that. We also have the Patreon group, which is super fun. Please take a look at that, and the merch store with hashtag animation junkie shirts and much more. Take a look at that. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.